Now it's time to lay out the skirt of the mouth. By the skirt of the mouth, I mean all of the muscles that are flowing around or inserting into the mouth in some way. Everything relates to this orbicularis oris down in this lower part of the face. The exceptions are the masseter and the back, but even the buccinator hiding deep behind the mandible, that's coming and connecting in with the orbicularis oris. The mentalis is a small exception, although not really. So we want to get in and start to define this entire area and be clear about the lines of action and the general form creators. One of the first really major form creators that is coming in and inserting into the orbicularis oris is the zygomatic major. The zygomatic major is going to originate along the zygomatic bone down near the bottom, and then it's going to insert right into the nodule at the side of the mouth. It's going to have a little bit of a curve, but you don't need to put that in. In some anatomy books, you'll see that as actually just a pure straight line, no real adjustment. But if you look at more anatomical textbooks, you'll get that nice curve that we have here. So that's the zygomatic major. Now we need the zygomatic minor. The zygomatic minor is going to originate a little bit above the zygomatic major. So we're talking about here. These fibers are going to interweave with the orbicularis oculi, the eye muscle. And this muscle is going to then insert into the mouth a little bit higher. So I would bring it up here. Again, if you're looking at a more artistic anatomy book, it does a straight line across like this. If you're looking at a more medical illustration, then we're going to flow down along the orbicularis oris and over into the upper portion of our mouth muscle. The next muscle we're going to look at is the levator labii superioris. There's actually two that are really closely named. The levator labii superioris, that's going to be our first one to kind of look at. And this is again originating along the brow. So we're talking about insertions or originations just below the eye. And its insertion is coming in and pulling down really close to that and mingling with the zygomatic major. The one right next to it, the levator labii alici nasi, say that 10 times, that one is going to originate up here with the depressor supercilii. It's going to flow down along the nose, the nasal bone, and insert into the upper portion of the orbicularis oris. Technically speaking, this has got two parts to it. One part is going to hug really close to the nose. Another part is going to pull off slightly and start to intermingle in here with the zygomatic major. But another one's coming in. I'm going to treat these as one unit, just having it flow in. So we've got the levator labii superioris, and then the alici nasi zygomatic minor, zygomatic major. As I mentioned, the zygomatic major is a huge form constructor. This is deciding the front plane and the side plane. So this is going to be part of the infraorbital triangle. The infraorbital triangle, which we'll look at, is the fat filling up the lower margin of the eye, this angle from the nose into the nodule at the side of the mouth, and then also coming from the zygomatic down to that corner. And so this is basically cheek fat that fills in there. You touch the underneath your cheek, you can feel all that flesh in there. This is what Clint Eastwood, he doesn't have a lot of, but this is what somebody like Julia Roberts has a lot of. Okay, more of the skirt for the mouth here. The depressor anguli oris. All of these Latin names. This is a triangle that's coming straight down from the nodule at the side of the mouth. And it is pulling around to the front of the chin. Pulls the corner of your mouth down. That's what its job is. Another muscle, the depressor labii inferioris. That's coming a slightly different angle. But helping to pull your lower lip down. If you try to lower your lower lip right now, not move anything else, you end up flexing. You can feel a little bit of tension right in this area. That's the depressor labii inferioris. The next muscle that we want to look at is the mentalis. The mentalis is going to be this round shape right in here. And I'm going to make its fibers straight up and down. The mentalis is connecting directly into the skin. And the mentalis is hugely impactful. If you study Paul Ekman's work, who developed the facial action coding system, it's used in so many major motion pictures for animation and morph target work. The mentalis is involved in a huge majority of the action units that describe the lower face. The mentalis pushes, really pushes up the lower lip in so many different ways. And so you have to add a lot of volume. It is not a small muscle. It's quite large. And we treat it as just a nice little circle, but its origins are really, let's just sketch back a bit. Its origins are up in the upper area, heading down to the bottom of the chin. And so that's pulling things upwards. Anyways, we're going to treat it as a simple circle for the most part, because it is so thick that that's really the best representation of it. So that's a good example of the skirt for the mouth, but we've got a couple of things that we're not putting in just yet because they're from a side view. So we'll get in and do those a little bit later. But we're going to be looking at the risorius, which is going to be coming around, only involved in sorrowful expressions. The buccinator, which is underneath that mandible and responsible for chewing and kind of ties the upper and the lower jaw together, so it ties those teeth together. And then the platysma, which is pulling down over the top of all of this and responsible for a lot of kind of tertiary forms that we see during facial expressions. So let's get started with this first portion of the skirt.